Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar, Level Up Your SharePoint with Provoke Partners. Provoke is a Microsoft Solutions partner. We've been around for over 14 years now, and we've picked the best of breed partners who believe it will add genuine value to your SharePoint investment. Today we're going to focus on Chorus, a global company, innovative provider of document automation solutions that seamlessly integrate with your Microsoft SharePoint, Word, and PowerPoint. Myself, James, will be your moderator, and Chris, our technical product specialist, will be your presenter.
Good afternoon, everybody.
For those of you who have attended any of our past webinars, would have seen this before. We're using the light-hearted theme of Space Invaders to level up your SharePoint. What does that mean? It means by using some of these awesome partner products, you can really boost the capabilities of SharePoint. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The webinar will run for about 30 minutes. We'll be in broadcast-only mode, and we'll be recorded so you can for future viewings. You can type any questions through the question pane, and even though we may not get to all the questions at the end, there will be an area where you can submit further questions, and we can get back to you. You do have two voice options. Your system will default to mic and speakers, but if you're having trouble with that, you can dial in with the phone number shown here and the access code 145-926-027. If you want to learn more or just get started, you can contact myself at james.poretta@provokesolutions.com or visit our website at provokesolutions.com. Okay, Chris, over to you.
Thanks, James. Once again, hello everybody, and thank you for taking the time out to join us today for this 30-minute webinar. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We think SharePoint is great. It's a very powerful platform, but like everything, there are always areas for improvement. And we've picked the best of breed partners, which some of the logos you'll see in front of you, just to enhance SharePoint and absolutely make it fly. So the way that we do that is to leverage that investment in SharePoint and make sure that these products work seamlessly with it. Today we're going to be talking about SciCapture. In previous webinars, you would have seen us talking about the other three that are on your screen in front of you. Basically, Nintex is the glue that holds everything together, and the other two, just for those of you who haven't joined the webinar series before, Nintex handles workflow and forms, so to automate some business processes. If you need anything signed, then DocuSign is the go-to product. And if you need to generate documents, we use Chorus. So I do encourage you to look at some of our past webinar series, which is on our YouTube channel. So we could flick forward to the next slide, James. This one here just shows you in the journey that we've been so far. So last week we looked at reducing turnaround time from quotes to signatures, and that was really all about a sales process where we accepted some information filled in from a form from a mobile phone. We then used Chorus to generate it, and then the next day, well, not the next day actually, the next few minutes, we had it signed, and that was care of DocuSign. That was really awesome. But today we're looking at physical documents. That was all very well and good for people who have that electronic access, but you would also have a bunch of physical documents that are either printed out on paper or stored in your email system. So we're going to help you understand how to get that into SharePoint today. So we can flip forward to the next slide. So looking at the slide deck, James, I think this is an older one, so I'm not sure what happened to our latest one. So I'm going to have to wing it. Please ignore the slides in front of you guys. We'll just keep it on that last one, I think, James. Yeah. Well, what I want to do is introduce you to SciGen, which is all about document scanning and capture. So SciGen was founded 20 years ago by actual subject matter experts in the document and scanning and capture software industry, and they created the product because once again there was a need, and now SciGen software is a technical leader in document management and imaging. So their product lines address scanning and capture needs. So that means using scanners or your MFD equipment, or simply processing images that you've already got. So for example, I'll show you a PDF that's been emailed to us. What do we do with that? We're going to show you one of their products today, and that product is called SciCapture. So SciGen is the company, and SciCapture is the product. SciCapture is actually Scigen's flagship product, and it's used to incorporate all forms of document processing technology provided within that one single platform. So that means it handles scanning, optical character recognition, handwriting recognition, forms processing, and advanced data extraction. Now, what is advanced data extraction? What that does is that takes text that has been recognized by the SciCapture engine and applies rules to it so that we can automatically identify fields. SciCapture then provides the ability to export or migrate the data to over 50 industry ECM and DMS systems. SharePoint is just one of those, but there are another 49 of them or thereabouts that we can export to. So today, what are we going to do? Well, like I said before, if you don't have a nice way of creating a form, how do you get information in? And we're going to show you an example of accepting CVs or resumes. So in the Provoke world, that's really easy. We've got an in-text form up there. People just submit their information and it gets processed automatically. But some people don't have an in-text. And plus, you might have an in-text now, but you might also have a bunch of CVs that are sitting around your file system or something like that now. So getting that information into SharePoint itself is relatively straightforward, the actual CV document. But how about all the metadata associated with it? How about the person's name and their phone number and the email address, or basic contact details? You basically have to open up the document, copy and paste that into the SharePoint fields. So that's not very nice. So we'll show you how to get that metadata in there really quickly. And just remembering that every CV is different, every person's name is different, every phone number is different, their email address is different. So there's no easy bulk way of importing this information. There is with SciCapture though. Then we'll turn on some bait stamping, which is really just a method to uniquely watermark and identify documents. And we'll also do something cool. We'll go and find an image file, so not a text searchable PDF, and we'll transform that for you into a text searchable document. And that's amazing for the SharePoint search engine. And then after the CV example, we'll do the same thing with an example using contracts. But what we're going to do with the contracts one is we're going to treat them all like forms where some of the data is consistent, and that makes the import process even faster if you know that you're always going to have a contract name and a contract date. Okay, I will get to it. Actually, just before you hand the screen over, James, I'm just going to load up my PowerPoint, so just in case I've got the latest version, and then what I can do is send you a copy so you can get that opening in the background. I'll just bring that up on my other screen. It's taking a while today. Poor computer. It's processing overload, I reckon. No, PowerPoint's taking too long to find the information that I want, so I'll just leave that running in the background. We can flick over to my screen, James. Beauty. Show my screen. And I'll just grab this PowerPoint and send that way. And what I'm going to do, sorry folks for the slight interruption, I'm just going to email James the PowerPoint document. Send. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, welcome back to the scheduled program. James, can you see my screen? It should say Level Up Physical Documents in front of you.
Yep, looks great.
Beauty. Okay. What we've got here is, as I said before, we are looking at CVs today. So we've got a very basic site here. It's a SharePoint list. It's actually a document library. And it wants to capture basic information, the person's name, their phone number, their email, the position that or the team that they're applying for. Now, the way that I want to do that today is to import all this using SciCapture. So I've got a CV. It's actually one of our Provoke ones that I've modified a little bit. And the reason why I'm picking on this person today is because she has just moved from our Auckland office in New Zealand to the Seattle office, and she has been there for approximately, what was that, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, James?
Yeah, just about, actually a week and a half now.
Oh, week and a half. Beautiful. So welcome, Alla. So this is an example CV of hers, and it is a PDF document, and it is currently text searchable. Okay. So I want to get that CV into SharePoint. So what I'm going to do is I've got SciCapture loaded up in the background here, and I've created a profile, which is basically telling it that I want to capture certain fields and I want to put it somewhere. And so where do I want to put it? SharePoint in this case. Now what would usually happen is I would just put that CV into a directory, and SciCapture would be polling that directory and dragging through any document that it finds and working its magic on it. Human interaction is only involved where SciCapture can't decipher something. So today, though, I've got everything in manual mode because I want to step you through the steps. So I'm loading up the CV profile now, and I'll just pick Alla's CV here and kick off the process. So what it's doing is it's picking up that document, which you can see on the right-hand side here. It's also Bates stamping it. So I just put a really simple one there. I know the screen's a little bit hard to see, but it says welcome to level up your SharePoint, and the Bates stamp number is number 1 in this case. So that was automatically generated by me. Some people want to uniquely identify every page or every document that's brought into the system. So all that step did was just load up the image itself. If I move to the next one, what it's now going to do is it's going to parse that document, and it's going to perform optical character recognition on it to extract out all the text that it can. Okay, we're done. So it is actually kind of boring when you're running this manually because all this stuff usually happens in the background. Now that we've OCR'd it, we're going to index it. So I showed you before that I wanted to capture some certain information. I wanted to find out the person's name, their phone number, their email address, and the team that they're applying for. Now in this case, this one, I've set this one up here to be very basic, and it does require human interaction. So the first thing is it's looking for the applicant in this field here that's slightly yellow. I'm not sure whether you can tell whether that's yellow. So what I could do is I could type in Alla's name, but why would I do that when it's already performed OCR? So if I hover the mouse over different words, you'll see that it can pick it up. So in this case here, I can hover it over her name, and you see that it's picked up an I there because it thought that that comma was an I, and also you can see the SciCapture not for resale watermark on that as well, which is confusing it a bit. But that's easy, we can just fix that here. And then for phone number, same kind of thing. I just hover my mouse over the appropriate part. How about for email? I'll hover it over information. And what I've got here is a warning saying that does not look like an email to me. And the reason why it did that is because I set up specific validation to say this must be an email address, and I did that using a regular expression. So I'll just get rid of that and actually highlight a proper email address. And then for a position, this is something that we can't get for the CV. We're saying she's going to apply for a team. What team is it that she's applying for? And I've put some of the Provoke teams here in a drop-down list. And this here is, it was configured in SharePoint, but SciCapture actually pulled through these categories. So for the purposes of today, we'll say that she's applying for the tech team. Once that's done, we move over to the next step. And all that step is doing is it's saying, I'm going to export or migrate that information into SharePoint. And after a few minutes, it'll connect to Office 365, it'll send up the CV up to the cloud, and then hopefully we'll see that CV sitting in our document library. Here we go, got a little whirly thing here. and we're migrated. So that took a couple of seconds. Let's go back in and see. Once again, always in demo mode, you're always crossing your fingers to make sure that this thing works. So Office 365 is having a think. And there we have Allah's document imported into SharePoint. But the cool thing is it's extracted out all that extra metadata, so now we can easily do a search on applicant, phone number, email address, the position, for example, to see all the people who have applied for the tech team. And of course the document itself is there, so if I click on that, we should get a rendition of that PowerPoint. We're certainly going very slowly today with our internet connection, because 388 kilobytes is not much at all. I know you guys love looking at progress bars. There we go. So that's loaded up the PDF, and you can see all the extra information that we've put in there, such as the bait stamp. Why don't I do the same thing, except I'm going to make it slightly more difficult for myself. That was a text searchable PDF, so it's not very hard to do some OCR on a PDF. But I'm going to find an image and make it really tough. How about this one? I like the look of this one. What do you reckon, James?
Looks good to me.
Okay, so that's just a picture. Save picture as. I'll put it into that same directory. Level up CVs. Yep, just a JPEG. So what I want to point out here is this here is just a picture. There's no text that's searchable within it other than the file name. And we'll run the same process. CVs. I'm going to also import Humpty Dumpty at the same time, and this picture one. This is what would happen in bulk mode. You'd have a bunch of files in one directory, and what would happen is it would still ask people for where the different fields are. So now it's bringing in these two. You can see the bait stamp has incremented it, so it's 2. I'll just untag my friend Woodsy. Go through to the next stage to do all that character recognition. So it's going to have to work a little bit harder on this picture that we've just gotten from somewhere in Google land. Looks like that's done. Go through to the next stage. So now it's going to index it and say, okay, tell me what lives where. So for document number 1, the applicant's name is Humpty Dumpty. The phone number is this. Their email is this. And the position, what team should Humpty Dumpty be in, James?
Project management.
Okay, Humpty Dumpty can be project management. Document number 2, let's see how successful we are with this picture. Okay, applicant name, Lauren Hanson, good. Also, I'll get rid of that comma just after her name. Her phone number is this. Oh, sorry, and make sure I click on that field. That looks good enough for me. Her email address is this, so it's pretty successful. What team should she go in, mate?
Corporate.
Corporate, okay. And then once again, it's going to push it up to our friends at Office 365. The data center is sitting somewhere in the States. While it's doing that, I just want to show you something else that I've got running. We actually have an in-text workflow running in the background because those of you who process lots of CVs, sometimes you can't remember whether somebody's submitted anything before. So we've actually run a workflow here to see if somebody's submitted. the first thing we do is we want to make sure, have we received it, and have we rejected them before? If we have, then it's going to go and tell the HR team all the way down here, hey, we've received this before, well, at least a CV of the same name, and we rejected them. If we haven't rejected them before, we're also going to check to see if maybe we've already got them, but they're already in our talent pool, and they might be really keen by sending their CV through, or they might have updated it. So once again, we check for that, and then if they are there, we'll tell the HR team, so that the HR team can evaluate these CVs in their own time, but it also speeds up that process. Just jump back to SciCapture. Yes, it's migrated. So now when we log into here, we see that Humpty Dumpty and Lauren have applied. It's brought through all that information that they need. But the cool thing about Lauren is we now have a PDF. And when this loads up, I'll show you what SciCapture has done for us. Actually, while it's loading up, I'll just check my email. Oh yes, we've received one for Humpty Dumpty and for Lauren. So there's Lauren's details. It's been automatically scanned. But let's have a look at Humpty Dumpty. Please note we've previously received for somebody called Humpty Dumpty and they were placed in the rejected group. So the HR team immediately know, hey, wait a second, at least somebody of the same name. And I could do even more. I could check the phone number and all these, or the email address or something like that. But this example is saying, hey, you might not want to waste your time. Here's Lauren's CV, and now you'll see that all this text is searchable. So if I search for Mega Mix, you'll see that that's been highlighted. So the whole thing is searchable, which means that SharePoint can actually search this thing. Okay, I'm going to take you on to the next step, because you saw in that case I still had to go and tell the system where people's names and email addresses and other things were. But if you know a predefined format, there's a quicker way to do it. So in this case, we're pretending that we're using contracts. And if I pick the first contract here, it's going to be a certificate of hygiene. All these contracts have got the same kind of cover page. So it's a form that somebody's filled out. And you'll see here, sorry, I'll go back to page 1, that we want to capture certain data, client name, matter, for example, where they live, or not where they live, the address of their organisation, and that's all in a predefined area. So what we've done is we've told SciCapture that this is a predefined area, and it should make SciCapture's life a hell of a lot easier to identify these things without us having to do anything at all. So if I go through to the next step, it's now going to OCR it. And now we're going into index mode. So you'll see here that the index has already been populated. You can see here that the client name is Great Feeding Company, and it's brought that through okay. It's brought through the matter okay. It's got their address. It has had a bit of trouble with the phone number, and the reason for that is because we've got this watermark SciCapture not for a resale version. So if we were processing in completely automated mode, SciCapture would go, I am 90% confident on these fields, but I'm not confident on that one. You might want to have a look. Or it might bring through this stuff. But SciCapture will tell the people, so I can change that anyway. Okay, and the senior attorney is James. If I carry on, the rest of the process is exactly like what you saw with the CVs. Connecting up to SharePoint or your ECM of choice, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an ECM, it could be another file system, it can even be your accounting package. There are lots and lots of systems that SciCapture can talk to. Give it a few seconds. In the meantime, I'll just navigate through to the contracts document library. which is down here. And here we go, we've got that great feeding company certificate of hygiene come through a few seconds ago. Okay, and it's brought through all that information. So let's give it a bit more of a bash. We'll try the rest of them. So just pretend that these files have been maybe emailed to you and you go, right, I need to get them into my system. So you've placed them into a directory. SciCapture is running in the background on some server somewhere, and it goes and says, hey, I've got something in those directories, I'm going to pick them up and I'm going to process them all. So there we go, it's picked up the 3 documents, it's now going to go and OCR them. While it's doing that processing, SciCapture runs on a server, but as you can see, it can also run on a standalone machine. So in this case for me, it's just running on my laptop. You can have multiple users using it, so what they'll see is a SciCapture interface for correcting recognition errors, but all the rest of the stuff like the configuration and everything else is basically hidden from the end user. They basically get to see the screen that we're on now where you fill in the information here. Now all these fields as well were dragged through from SharePoint. So they were created in SharePoint first, and then SciCapture recognized them and said, hey, do you want to capture this? And there were some fields that I didn't want to capture, so I said no. So it's got that one right. It's had a bit of trouble with the phone number. I won't bother correcting that. Similarly for the other ones. Zoom out a little bit so you can see. That one looks okay. And for the third one, the Zookeepers Association. So it's done a pretty good job. And of course, if that text wasn't overlaid over the top of the phone number would look a lot better too. Third time, setting it up to Office 365, and then in a few seconds we'll have those contracts ready for something to happen. Now what is that something going to be? It could be another Nintex workflow saying, hey, we've got some contracts. It might automatically route them. It might alert the appropriate people, and it might set up other document libraries or project repositories inside SharePoint. The possibilities of these two products combined are pretty much limitless. So we're getting a couple through, so I'll go and refresh that screen because by the time we get there, we should see something. Refresh. Okay, James, while I was working on that, I'm not sure whether that that PowerPoint, the latest one, came through to you. Hopefully it did. If it didn't, yeah, I can share my screen and just show you that. But
yeah,
we see
it looks good on my side.
Oh, beauty. We've got the documents that have come through, guys. That's really what I wanted to show you today. We've got even cooler stuff to show you next week, but I'll let James tell you about that. So I'll just hand the screen over to James. There you go.
Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, well, today we've shown you one method of getting your paper documents into SharePoint using SciCapture. We even turned an image into a text searchable PDF, and we migrated it to SharePoint while maintaining the full fidelity of the image, all the metadata, and all the text. Next week, we're going to up the ante and introduce the intelligent capture model. This module allows us to recognize and extract data from documents that we've never seen before. We'll use invoice processing as an example and even extract all the line items for you. We look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place, Tuesday, 16th of December at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have any questions in the meantime, please don't hesitate to contact me at james.poretta@provokesolutions.com. And there will be a feedback form at the end where you can post any more questions. Thanks so much for your time, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks all.